To James's point earlier about the sound design, I think a lot of it comes down to the planning, because if you have the high level understanding of the 5 points that you want to hit, then I think you can make the long form video and then extract the 5 bits of the 5 clips where you kind of touch on that and then pump that out. But the overhead for that planning alone is a video of itself. It's going to take you maybe just as long to figure out how to condense that down and exactly how you want to record everything so that the editing isn't a monster afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. It definitely takes work to condense information. I mean, on the surface, it's like, oh, it's less, it's easier, but yeah, in some ways, it's more work to make something shorter and have the relevant information.
Sometimes you like grab onto something that you really love and you can't get rid of it. Like when I'm editing documentaries, we have so much footage that we're trying to condense down, and there's that like one soundbite that's like so good, but you can't fit it in, and it's so tough to like take that off just to condense it down to like a 2 or 3 minute piece.
I know 3 minutes is a sweet spot for those types of videos, especially like any internal stuff. Like you can't have longer than that; your audience just falls off. YouTube's a bit different. If they're learning something, I don't even know. Like, there's no metric to say, well, longer videos do better than shorter videos, because I mean, like Ian's stuff is phenomenal and it's 1 minute long and it blew up. Whereas like there are others that are really, really super long, and like there's this guy Varomix who does these really long Houdini tutorials, and all he does, he rambles a lot, but he still gives off a ton of information in these videos. So
that's what Andrew Price's videos used to be like. I remember
I remember those.
When he was making the grenade and he's just wafting on about how he was in the Army Reserves and a story about something about bullets or something.
Yeah.
But,
and you're like, what are you talking about? Like 3D Buzz used to do that too. That used to drive me crazy. And I mourn the loss of Jason. I think Jason Busby was the guy. He passed away a few years ago, but then 3D Buzz was awesome, and you learned so much from it. I subscribed to them. Like, this is before YouTube was even a thing. But man, they would just get in conversations and ramble. And you'd be like, you guys are talking about like carpenter ants, and this is Maya. Like, what's going on? Like,
I've caught myself several times not going off on a complete tangent or talking something random. But I often, if I'm not careful, will rabbit hole myself. So I'll start talking about, let's say, materials, but then that's not what the video's about, but then I end up explaining something about materials that then I need to explain something else about to make sure that everybody, and before long I'm like, no, I need to start this video again.
I do that so much, just in everyday life, not even recording. But kind of back to Kevin's point earlier, I think, or it posed a question that I wanted to ask. How do you guys feel about your audiences? Because different audiences, you said, for YouTube, maybe it's not the space. So does that mean that the content that James wanted to fit into that documentary would be a better fit for something like a quick Instagram story or something like that? And how have you found playing with that, if you have or haven't, like useful to getting your messages across? Like, do you get to put more content out in different mediums, or do you just not play with that
something to note is that in his tutorials, his lazy tutorials are 1 minute long because they fit on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he made them. So that's like a restriction of the platform ended up giving him such a huge audience and like bringing so many people to Blender as well.
I definitely credit Ian for bringing tons of people into our space. He's done so much for this. I mean, we all have, but those lazy tutorials just blew up. I mean, they just like wildfire. And I think they brought in a lot of users.
Definitely.
I didn't even consider Instagram as a teaching platform at all. I just saw it as a photo sharing and a quirky little platform to share little clips on. But yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah, they've been trying to push like IGTV off the ground. I feel like that hasn't really taken off yet. But yeah, like the shorter format videos, I feel like are very shareable. Like I follow a lot of people who post these great kind of breakdowns of what they're doing, and even just kind of seeing that and just getting some tips and tricks from what they've done and just seeing the clay renders or behind the scenes, it's super helpful.
Yeah,
I see a lot
for those clay renders, man.
Yeah, those blows my mind, like the super detailed ones.
I love it.
Gosh, it's crazy.
Aaron did some of the I think they were kind of like a wooden texture, like actual clay, not like the gray textures, but I love those, your architectural.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, clay renders. I just love it.
Yeah, this is some good work.